Dr. Sizo Nkala, Research Fellow at the University of Johannesburg Centre for Africa-China Studies, joins us now to further weigh in on the latest developments in the Israel-Hamas war, as well as the spillover in neighbouring countries like the recent attacks in Lebanon. Now this, as the 79th UNGA session is set to sit down tomorrow to discuss issues affecting the globe. Doctor, thank you so much for your time on this chilly afternoon. So no end in sight of peace in the Middle East, with tensions now escalating far and wide and spilling over to Lebanon. What do you make of these latest developments that side?
Well, I don't think the latest attack on Lebanon by Israel is a surprise, because there has been a low-intensity war between Israel and Hezbollah, the group that's located in Lebanon. Since October 7, they have been exchanging fires across the border of Lebanon and Israel. So the latest attack really doesn't come as a surprise. I think for me, what it reflects is the political pressure within Israel that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, is feeling. So he wants to be seen to be doing something, as well as I think he's under pressure for the Israeli communities that occupy the border area with Lebanon to return to their homes. So I think the attack is motivated by the political dynamics in Israel.
Very interesting perspective there, Doctor. Now, let's talk about this, of course, taking place as the UNGA sits for its 79th session. And questions have been raised, Doctor, about the relevance of the body itself. If it cannot intervene while innocent lives are actually getting lost on a daily basis, and laws, international laws, are being broken as well, while the body seemingly just cannot maneuver.
Well, I think one major casualty of the current geopolitical tensions between major powers has been the multilateral system. Because of the tensions and hostilities between major countries, China, the US, Russia, and the broader West, the multilateral system, the UN system, for example, has been rendered dysfunctional and ineffective in terms of mediating and then bringing to an end conflicts such as Israel and Palestine conflict. So with the UNGA, with the UN General Assembly taking place tomorrow, we shouldn't expect much, really. What is important is for the major powers to bridge the ideological divide, to resolve their tensions so that they can be able to act in one direction in terms of resolving global security crisis.
And how should the UN then intervene in bringing about peace and securing stability, as you mentioned, Doctor, in the tension-filled regions as well as warring parties? Maybe we should actually start dissecting the powers that they actually do possess, and why do they remain a credible body globally when it comes to the needs of the most vulnerable?
Well, I think we shouldn't paint the UN with one brush because of the failings of the Security Council. The Security Council is not the UN is not the Security Council. These are the failings of the Security Council. It's the body or the organ within the UN that has the power and the mandate to ensure global peace and stability and security. And they have failed in that mandate. Other UN agencies are working, I think, fairly effectively, especially agencies that have been responsible for delivering aid in Gaza and other war-torn regions in the world. I think they've done pretty well in terms of delivering aid, humanitarian aid under the circumstances. But it's the Security Council that is proved ineffective and unable to play its role. So I'm glad that one of the agenda items in the Summit of the Future is to call for a conference that will review the UN Charter, and also that might lead to the reform of the United Nations Security Council especially the veto system. As we all know, I think the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council have got a veto power. They can veto any decision by the UN Security Council, and that has paralyzed the organ. So I hope that the reform process will look at the veto system and maybe try to abolish it, because it has held back the Security Council's ability to act in such situations as Israel and Palestine.
And that's exactly the argument, right, Doctor? The reforms within the Security Council need to really be part of the focus, particularly on this agenda. The body did promise to focus on Africa as well as its agenda during this particular sitting. So what type of discussions do you expect to be held in this regard, Doctor?
I think the one important item of discussion, I think, will be the expansion of the Security Council to reflect the global order as it obtains today. The US has come out in recent days in support of 2 permanent seats for the African continent, but without the veto, which is quite a ridiculous proposition. Because if 2 African countries become permanent seats without the veto, it means they cannot, they are junior permanent members, really, because they cannot influence the agenda of the Security Council in any significant or material way. So I think the expansion of the Security Council is an important item on the agenda, so that the Security Council is more reflective of the global order and more credible, more legitimate in its outlook.
Absolutely. That's what we're all looking and hoping for. Thank you so much for your input this afternoon, Dr. Of course, Sizo Nkala, the fellow researcher at the Centre for Africa-China Studies, talking to us about the tensions out in the Middle East.